feels so good to hear. It's been too long.
Yeah,
I've been missing it.
it's a pretty good one. We've been out of commission for too
Mm.
long. Sorry for the public. We've been out for too long. It was our fault. It was my fault first time. Second time it was Brightest Day's fault.
Well, I also got sick in there too, but I got better.
Man, you're the director of this thing. You're allowed to get sick. You're allowed to cancel it.
Yeah, well, I still feel guilty over it, but there's only so much you can do to justify that. But anyway, as Nick Weiser would say, welcome one and all to the Mobile Suit Roundtable. I, of course, am Iron Caster, your host here for this little get together to talk about some big bots and traumatized teens. But of course, with me today is the rookie pilot, Fenrir the Ice Wolf. How's it going?
And I'm great, and I will always be here. I'm just telling this to the public. I will never miss one.
Not if I can help it.
I'm reliable.
That's what I like to hear.
Good
Sadly,
agree.
Brightest Day is not available today. He was apparently being shot into space to overshoot Xeon territory. Why he'd want to escape, I don't know, but apparently that's a bit of a theme today. So today we are covering the 7th episode of the show called The Core Fighters Escape. So I guess let's try something a little bit different here. Kind of going into it. Let's kind of reassess where we're at, and then we can go forward. So far, the series has been kind of thrust into the middle of a war between two factions involving space and the colonies, with one faction wanting to be able to self-govern themselves in space, whereas the other one is effectively a world government that encompasses all of the Earth and the colonies in space. The faction in space that wants independence, known as the Principality of Xeon, has gone and declared independence by dropping a colony onto the Earth, which effectively nuked Australia, and a war ensued that has left half of the world's population effectively dead. Well, half on both sides of the war, which isn't to say there may not be some innocent bystanders and neutral parties, but for all intents and purposes, half the population is dead.
War is hell.
Effectively. Absolutely. So 9 months have passed. It is now effectively getting to late September, early October, I believe, by the accounts. I think the series starts around September 15th or 17th. And from there, we wind up about a week and a half later. Over that week, we have our main character, Amuro, who was a civilian on the initial colony of Side 7, which has been used as a Federation base for researching secret weapons to potentially give them the upper hand to potentially even the playing field, let alone win. Which, as we've seen over the course of the next 6 episodes, is a pretty effective weapon, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's holding pretty much on its own. If we had a couple more, they'd probably win.
Yeah. Maybe if they should deploy those other couple of mobile suits more often. Who knows what happens if they actually deploy the gun tank and
they've just been
the gun cannon.
Been keeping it inside the Trojan horse, getting dust, not being used as they should be used.
Well, I mean, you can only shove Amuro into so many of the suits at one time. But
true.
Oh, enough. Yep. Well, enough of that. Shall we get into the show?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. Of course, we are talking, of episode 7, The Core Fighters Escape. So, Though Brightest Day is not here, he was kind enough to provide a script for us to go over some of the key events, which I will be reading over, which I've gone and added a couple of comments for, and we'll go through this. We'll break it down. We'll pause, have some little discussions in between, and we can take any comments from the audience, and we will go on.
Pretty much the usual thing we always do.
Yep. Yeah, we just want to try to kind of remind people, anyone who might be jumping in, that's kind of the general theme of the live stream.
Yep.
So, let me get myself set up. Okay. The episode opens in the airspace above Xeon-occupied territory, with the elderly civilians aboard the white base wait nervously as the young crew look after them. Here we see there are a lot of civilians just sitting anywhere they can. This is one of the things we haven't really gotten to see a whole lot of over the course of the show, is just how many civilians there are on board the white base. We see there are even more of these civilians, the elderly, the sick, the injured, that our young crew has been forced to...
Don't forget the drunk.
Yes, of course, the most precious of all. Those poor little tuckered bastards. We see the crews looking after them, but they, of course, are very upset, wanting to be let down onto the Earth. On the bridge, Bright and the others run diagnostics and perform projections related to the next mission, and just how to contact Federation forces. Back up a second. One of the things worth mentioning is that the Minovsky particles, which are a big feature of the universe here, that allows for for a lot of this big giant technology to be able to function, all the mobile suits, it effectively acts as a radar dampening. That technology has progressed to such a point that radar and radar jamming have basically become so advanced that the soldiers have had to basically get back to more basic techniques of sight-based communication, flashing lights, etc.
Yeah, makes sense. They'll be expecting for something advanced, not something primitive.
Yep. Let's see. Here we see Amuro is working with one of the crew members on how to route some power to the engines to be able to try one of their options to launch communications to the Federation using the launching bay. Using the launching for the core fighters, they want to try to shoot the core fighter over and basically into space to overshoot the Xeon territory, which they are completely surrounded in. Bright and Reed are arguing over whether or not to leave the refugees behind, and Kai snidely points out that the refugees are a major drain on resources, and to which Reed agrees with him. Amuro suggests using the White Base's main engines directly power the launch catapult, and even volunteers to be the one to pilot it, arguing that it was his idea and he should be the guinea pig to test this out. One of the things you don't really see a whole lot of in the episode here, well, one of the things that you kind of see over the course of the episode is just how much of a snarky bastard Kai is. And you see that in the way he sits in his chair there. You know, he's quickly become a guy you love to hate.
No problems in the world. Little douche. Wonder how he'd be if they threw him in the middle of the war zone just for giggles.
Yep, Kai is being a smug shit. and the old people are being just as annoying. I would say.
Yep. But can you blame them? They've been in prison in a small area for so long.
We've been sitting up here for so long that they don't even listen to us. It's gonna be all right. If this Amro goes, not like we lost anything important. So it's not a bad Kai voice, come to think of it.
Yeah. needs a little work, but it's close, pretty close.
Meanwhile, at the zombie base, Garma and Shar are looking over the collected intelligence of the Gundam and their plan for plan their next move. Just backing up a second to show off. Just one of the things that I don't think anyone has really mentioned is that if you really look around, you see that it's a devastated war zone. That the Zeon forces came through, stomped face, and have set up shop. You're not really seeing a whole lot of the civilians in the surrounding areas to it.
Yeah, mostly because they either A, got rid of them, or B, killed them all.
Well, I mean, half the population's gone. And you got to figure that if all the fighting's on Earth, maybe it would be best to move to space. I mean, if they're going to keep doing all this stuff there, maybe it's best to get out of the war zone, which is, unfortunately, the planet.
Everywhere. Yeah, makes sense.
Let's see. We have Garma looking over the plans with Shar approaching as they begin to discuss the plans on what to do next. Sorry, catching up a little bit. Back aboard the White Base, a hostage situation has arisen, in which the elderly refugees demand the ship land. Among the hostages is Frau Boa and the orphans. When no concern is showed for Frau Boa, Hayato chastises Amuro, and Kai continues his lobbing verbal jabs, finally causing Amuro to snap at him. We got the Amuro serious stare. Hey, it's not like you got a problem, Amuro. You'll just show up and save the day like you always do. Again, they got Kai here is being a shit, and you just want to hit him. You want to see a little patented fist of justice on the guy.
Yeah, and don't forget everybody gets slapped or hit every time on this show, so a couple of hits on him wouldn't harm anyone.
And hey, you're not hitting a kid here, so they do point out he's an adult.
Yeah.
One of the things to point out as
free trial.
Amuro points out that the crew of the White Base can handle it, that Bright can defuse the situation, and you have the others who can easily handle things, that Amuro doesn't have to be the one to solve all the problems everywhere. And I think it's a good sign of some maturity on Amuro for some critical thinking that the others can handle something like this.
Well,
sorry, did you have something there?
Nah. I had something there, but just phased out of the head.
Also, that gets brought up here is the amount of training Amuro has. He's sitting at about 18 hours in the simulation with the core fighter. 35 hours training between the core fighter itself and the Gundam. and 2 hours of actual combat training. So he's
Either
starting to get some experience under his
if
belt.
that kid doesn't die in the battlefield, he's definitely gonna die just walking down the hallway. I mean, he needs rest. He's still a kid.
Oh yeah, and it's like, especially considering that he's amounted this amount of training within what, roughly 2 weeks.
Yeah, that could kill him.
Yeah, that's a full. Oh, that's over two days straight of training. That's a considerable amount of training, especially considering just the amount of time he's had with very little rest in there. He needs some help, and they could really use some more manpower, because I mean, we can't just send Hayato and Ryu running around to man everything.
Yep.
So one of their plans was to take the white base and tilt it to be able to shoot for that trajectory, to be able to shoot into space with the core fighter to be launched, which they think they can do from the engines. So, if there's nothing else, we can go back into
just blow the engines and make sure the tractor beam is deactivated. Then you'll be sure to win the battle.
Yeah, that'll work too.
That is the old teachings. You can never forget the old teachings.
Yes, Mike Beatsticks. It's suborbital. Well, I guess the idea is actually to get the ship into orbit to be able to shoot over the Zeon territory. If they can stay out of reach of the aircraft, a lot of the aircraft carriers and that at flying altitudes, that they could effectively get a ship to the Federation territory with a message for assistance, that they could effectively pincer movement and get help. So one of the things that's been following them for some time since the start of the episode is what is called the Lugan Recon aircraft, which is one of the many Zeon units that has been following the white base and has been reporting back information to Garma about its movements and actions. Here we see the crew is informing them. They inform Garma. Oh. But did they inform Garma that Fenrir just popped out? We will have to see. Yes. Welcome back. Yes, Mike, we're on episode 7. If you've been following along with us, you'll be just fine.
Again, this guy, seriously. Thank God this came out in the time it came. More people would have been saying this guy gives a lot of weird vibes.
Oh, there are plenty of shippers out there that make this a pair.
God damn it, shippers. They have to ruin everything.
You know what? I gotta give them credit for sticking on to a 40-year-old anime.
I mean, didn't he have a kid? I mean, granted, he died. Shard, I mean.
Oh, not to my knowledge.
Some of the old other projects and books I've been finding around.
Mike. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we are that next episode. 2 episodes ago, they made it to Earth. Last episode was the first fight in Earth's orbit. This is now them trying to shoot a core fighter back into space to skirt the edge of the Earth's atmosphere. The idea of it being to use to kind of get there much faster. So, I think if we're ready to get back into it, I can continue. In between, let's see. The recon aircraft informs Garma of the white base movements, and in between sips of coffee, Shar determines that their intent. So Shar figures it out. So Shar's figuring out. So I'm trying to get myself a little caught up. Let's see. At the same time, Amuro takes off from the jury-rig catapult, coming under the immense G-forces. Shar scrambles to his Musai capsule to launch and intercept, with Garma giving him reinforcements with the Gaw attack carrier. He's shooting up into space, and unfortunately, Amuro winds up passing out from the intense G-forces. So this is not good for our boys in blue.
Nope. Kai's going to figure out that Amuro can't save his ass every time.
Mm-hmm. Shar and Garma quickly manage to figure out what's going on, and they decide to launch their own ship in what is a really cool launching pad, by the way.
Yep. The old shows just knew how to do it.
And also, unlike Amuro, Shar's not some little punk bitch who will pass out. Also, I had to go look up this guy. The guy's name there is Dren. Is Shar's second in command? Because all this time I just could not remember his name. Yeah, I had to look it up. Dren.
Yeah, I really didn't care what his name was.
Well, look, he survived this long without dying. I figured by episode 7, maybe it's probably worth remembering the guy's name.
Good point.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair.
Meanwhile, with the elderly, the hostage situation diffuses quite quickly, as the elderly refugees simply wish to be heard, having no intention of actually doing anything. Of course, rather quickly, Bright's attention is called back to the bridge, as they have caught on to what is going on with the Zeon forces. And here we see Kai, of course, getting yelled at, because anytime that Kai's getting yelled at, I have to stop and share it.
It's enjoyable.
Yes. I might have to put together a montage by the end of this of just all the times Kai gets his just desserts.
Yeah, make it a video for the weekends.
Oh, that might be a good idea, actually. Get myself caught up. Yes. Kai does, in fact, get yelled at quite a lot, but deservedly so. Of course, we get to our midway break in the show. And getting back into it, one of the things that gets pointed out is that the Minovsky particles are leaving the white base's radar accuracy at about 30%, so they're not going to be able to provide much assistance with missiles.
Ooh, that's bad.
Oh yeah, you got to figure you got a little better than 1 in 4 chance of being right, let alone just trying to hit, even if you had 100% accuracy with the radar. They launch missiles. If it's the crew just saying "shut the fuck up" to Kai, you might just be able to get away with using the audio since it's a montage and all. Yeah, but there's something that it's just going to be over a video of him just getting smacked over and over.
How many times did he get smacked exactly?
more than once.
Okay, then just make it constantly over and over again. If you repeat it over and over in a loop, you've got about 2 minutes of entertainment.
Yeah, everybody hates Kai. That should be the name of the show.
Good one.
Everybody hates Kai.
You're a fan of Chris too.
Yep, it's an enjoyable show, and it's where
Yes,
I learned about Terry Crews,
was.
which is big, great actor. Of course, as if he's read the script for this show, Shar correctly assumes that the missiles are just being blindly fired out to provide cover. The shots fail to hit to dissuade Shar's pursuit, and Amuro eventually regains consciousness and reestablishes contact with the white base.
Okay.
Ah! He screams as he comes to and is being shot at blindly by Shar in his little ship, which Amuro in turn realizes is not very accurate and was only meant for aerial re-entry into the atmosphere. Trying to space this out a little bit so I don't get any sort of copyright claims again, because apparently that happened last week. But that's being issued with behind the scenes. That's not important. We get some cool shots of course, Amuro's core fighter. Amuro in turn decides to turn the tables on Shar and goes on the offensive, to which they manage to avoid quite a bit of the hitting until, of course, they get hit. Yes, avoid the hitting until you're hit, folks. Which it's not going very well for Shar for once. That is, of course, until they get some assistance from the Zeon forces that were sent in to back them up. Meaning that now Amuro is outnumbered 6-1.
Eesh. Not liking the odds here.
Yep, and you got to remember that Amuro's been getting pretty good with the Gundam controls, but that doesn't necessarily correlate to the core fighter for a fighter jet.
Yep. I mean, against Shard alone, it would have been a hell of a fight, but all of that, he screwed.
Right. Bright eventually decides to recall the core fighter to make the shift into the Gundam. So Amuro will have to now fight in the air. Yeah, Mike. Apparently, what I'm guessing happened was I was just flashing too many images too fast, to where it seemed like it was trying to skirt around some copyright. Like I was trying to do just a straight clip show with the audio or something. I'm challenging it. I think I have a clear case because we're reviewing the show, we're covering it. Should all be kosher. So Amuro is of course believes that he's going to fail if he were to try to fight, and Kai is ready to just continue to insult him and dismiss him here. But of course, Bright has had quite enough of this, and we get the fist of justice. Ugh. Oh, it feels good. And of course, Bright says, I will have no more of this, and if you keep this up, I will slap you out of the airlock myself.
Yeah, that's power.
It's one of the best moments of the episode, I think. Is just slapping some sense into some people, because common sense apparently ain't that common, but it does get injected
especially in the future. You
medicinally
just
with
gotta,
a
you
good
gotta,
backhand.
yeah, or fist, or a good kick in the nuts.
Kai is this show's Carl. Shut up, Kai. Shut up, Kai. I like this. Meanwhile, back with Amuro, still having his little panic attack, convinced he cannot fight in these circumstances. He's being chased by the Dops, which have great names, by the way. And we also get a really good side view shot of just how many of what these ships look like from that angle, and you get to see more of that just pleasing aesthetic of these ships. They look kind of ugly, but it works. It's like with a show like Gundam, it's like always about the big robots, but sometimes it's sometimes a good fighter jet is also just really there to be appreciated. Of course, he's got a bit more firepower to help back him up, and they begin to fire on Amuro, but are quick to miss, and the white base in turn goes back to using its guns and cannons to help provide coverage to allow Amuro to fly in, and the white base takes a few hits. It flies in, and we see that the core fighter has the arms is being set up to come in for being caught, to deploy for the Gundam rather quickly. Core fighter flies in. And Amuro deploys the little arm to catch him, which then we get the little montage of the core fighter transitioning into becoming the core for the Gundam. Good morning, LDG.
Good morning.
Which I gotta say, as silly a gimmick as it is for the core fighter to change and all that, it's still fun to see. I gotta say.
I like when vehicles change form. Reminds me of the Zords from Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Which was always funny, because in that first series of that, you always saw, you might just see them basically run up just to transform. Which is like, but why do you have the dinosaur form then if it's not even going to be used? It's like, no, yeah. Don't worry. We use it like once.
Yeah.
And of course, with this, you also see the arm. You also see how this is deployed, where the arm that caught it gets moved up, and it gets moved in a position rather quickly to be able to rapidly change over to the Gundam.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Which it then sets itself up. The Gundam comes down, and the White Devil is ready. Gonna pop a few shots out. It's like a pop a shot as it does a drive-by. As the Gundam deploys and fights from a position at the end of the launch bay, Char deploys in his own Zaku. Oh, we lost him again. Okay, he's back. Having a little technical difficulties today, apparently.
Yes.
Having
Gundam
now gone
good.
Oh yeah, Gundam's looking good. It looks real purty. Yeah, apparently you're playing Duck Hunt. let's see. Get back in my notes. Char in turn launches into his own Zaku as the pilots there freak out and realize that they now have to face the Gundam. Char and Dren go high so he can drop down from up top. And we get our boy in red. Char deploys his own Zaku from above. Amuro launches to intercept, and the two rivals face off once again, with this time in free fall. During which Char does make the point to comment, it's not for being free fall. It's not a whole lot of movement. You're awfully restricted. Which I gotta say, for 79, there are some really good stills in here to catch. And of course, we get the epic and often unnoticed by most people of just the full-on face-first belly slide in the sky.
Gotta admit, that looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just imagine in real life just seeing a robot doing that. Giant robot just coming out of the sky with something like that. You'd be freaked out. You'd be so freaked out, but at the same time, you'd be so amazed. Like pissing yourself, but at the same time being so smiling about how badass it is.
Oh, and Zeon has such cool suits. It's like they're the bad guys, but they look so cool. Speaking of looking cool, Darius Munchausen hops in.
Dude, they're the bad guys. They always have the cool stuff. Hey, Munchausen.
What about you, Darius? Do you have all the cool stuff?
But yeah, they're the bad guys. They always have the cool stuff.
Hey. Bad guy is subjective. He gets a couple shots off, but of course, the Gundam has that nice fancy shield that doesn't do a whole lot to stop him. So Char just says, screw this, and kicks him a couple times. We get Amuro also in a similar pose, which does a good job to help minimize your own profile. Which really, makes a lot of sense. Oh, thank you, T-shirt. It's great to see you drop it in. So, do we have any questions in the chat for anything right now? Or you, Fenrir? Any thoughts?
No, I'm good. This episode's been pretty self-explanatory on its own.
No comments about just the epic, falling sky space battle between giant robots?
Nah, pretty sure I'm pretty on to this. I'm already pretty on this. We all know how this is gonna go.
Curse splat. You know what's not awesome though? A bunch of old people bursting into the deck, into the white base, while everyone's trying to deal with the battle.
That seems incredibly stupid, and they're probably risking everyone's lives just doing it.
That's what I'm saying. As soon as they decide to go ahead and stick him into a mobile suit for permanent, I think, is when he gets the collar and leash. To get back into the comments here, the commentary a bit. As the battle rages, the elderly refugees conduct a sit-in protest on the bridge, demanding the ship land. Amuro, by this point, has run through his beam rifles and ammunition, and is left now without a weapon to defend himself. There's letting off some last shots that, of course, missed because apparently Amuro can aim at anything that's not Char. That's not a big red mobile suit. Char does get a well-placed hit off and winds up blinding the Gundam from its primary cameras. Which, not a good shot. Or not good for Amuro. But fortunately for him, we are getting dangerously close to the end of the episode. No, I guess I had a double on there. Amuro's left blinded, and they decide to recall the Gundam for safety's sake, because it's getting dangerously close, and it's been falling for quite a while. With Fenrir once again playing the Houdini. We'll catch up a little bit. And there's Fenrir.
Damn it, technology.
Was that big red button too tempting?
It annoys me every time.
The white base, of course, now plays defensive to protect Amuro, to allow him to recall himself, and fires many missiles, which Char has to spend his time to deal with, which in turn allowed Amuro the time to be able to pull himself back. But of course, by this point, Char is so close to the ground that he winds up having to get ready himself for landing.
Yep.
As Char lands on the ground, Garmin informs Char of some discoveries that they've made surrounding the modular nature of the mobile suits, and Char is ordered to retreat.
Oh, who could have seen this coming?
Yep. You would think that failing to kill this thing a half dozen times now would cause him to start to actually worry, which now it's starting to set in for him, as it turns out.
Or at least get him to create even better, bigger, and more dangerous Gundam suit.
Amuro makes his way back to the bridge, and is faced with the complaint of the refugees, to which Amuro finally snaps once more, and Amuro snaps on their lack of appreciation for all the sacrifices the crew are making just to get them, just to try and save them and protect them, saying that if they don't keep it up, he'll quit. Mirai goes in to break the tension and pulls him away to get a little snack. Which we get a little snack. Frau Bosho goes up to try and help out with and calm down Amuro. And the episode ends with the white base now moving towards the mountains for the extra protection. So that was the episode. The core fighters escape.
Yeah. Cool fights, yet the end felt a bit stale. I wanted to go to will they survive deal kind of thing.
Yeah.
Put them in a dangerous situation.
I mean, there is some good fights, and it continues to throw some interesting monkey wrenches at the crew for ways to try to deal with the situation. The extra issue of the aerial combat was a good change, but they have other core fighters, and surely they could have probably deployed someone else to assist Amuro after they decided to change tactics.
Yep.
I mean, Ryu's been consistently the other pilot, and they didn't have him do anything of that sort. But then again, thinking about it, he was helping to try and diffuse the situation involving the elderly. So yeah, we can blame the old people for that. Yes, Mike. 2 more episodes till Seattle. We're getting close, and the
What's up
White
in
Base will have to
Seattle?
deal with. That'll be that'll be the location of some upcoming episodes. Right now, they're effectively in the Rocky Mountains in the United States. So think Wyoming area.
All right. But out of that, I'll give this episode about a 7.5. I'm not saying it was bad. It's just it felt a bit weak compared to the old ones.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a little bit of a letdown for the episode. The sudden shift to going to the aerial combat was rather sudden. Was a little bit sudden, and it works for them trying to kind of quickly make do with the hand that's been dealt after their attempt to try to get a message to the Federation failed. And it makes you really hate the old people.
Yeah, very much. Kind of wanted a few of them to die just to teach the other half.
Like you just want to see Bright at the back of the Bright at the airlock, just backhanding them one at a time off the ship. Where's Kai?
That would be weirdly hilarious.
So yeah, this was then the episode. Let me get the last little bit, and then we can have a little chit chat about some other stuff, and we can relax. So next episode, I'm a kid. That's a lot of planes. White Base is getting shot at, and maybe that tank will survive. Let's find out next episode. The Winds of War.
Tune in next episode of Dragon Ball. Oh wait, no, wrong show. Shit, forget that.
Who will survive? No, wait, you're right. Wrong show. It feels good to be back. I missed this last week. I did get a chance to watch the new Hathaway movie.
I have not seen it. I've been watching Aliens lately. Just gonna say, Disney cannot recreate the greatness of Ripley. And I'm gonna say I have been enjoying Bishop for some time. He's unique in a way. And I don't want to seem heartless, but Newt is a huge liability in the movies. I mean, she helps a little, but my God, that kid's a liability.
Oh, hang on, I seem to have frozen up a little bit. Okay, good. We seem to be back. I kind of froze up for a second there. Apologies.
No problem.
You know, I think I've seen the Alien movies like once or twice, but it's been so long since that I really could stand to do with a little sit down and rewatch of I've
been rewatching because I heard Disney's gonna do their own Alien movie, and I know it's gonna be awful. So it's better just to see the originals that are probably better.
Well, you know, we'll go to that at some point. We'll talk about this a bit more. But
rumor is the mother alien's gonna be the new Disney princess. So get ready to buy that for your kids.
I remember making that joke. Interesting enough, Walmarts around here have alien toys? Like
those are a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing. Let me see if I can pull that up. I mean, it doesn't really fit with the whole with the Gundam show, but you know, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah, let's jump a little bit out of it. We already talked about Gundam. Let's kind of jump a little bit off.
Yeah. So I kind of pull up an image here, and I wonder if I could get some better images of the actual toys. So as I understand it, a lot of these ideas were kind of from what would have been built in like the 80s or so. Which here I will.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, of course, look at some. Yeah, we'll go with this one.
I can't. Getting tempted to buy that.
It's like, yeah, that looks cool. And it's not made by NECA. That's another plus, really.
Yeah, even the dog looks cool.
Yeah, I grew up having a dog like that, so it kind of hits home seeing that dog. Well, look at this guy. He's got some good articulation to him. Looks like the hand's on a little ball joint as well. And I think they're pulling from some of the more obscure, like, comic stuff, because as far as I know, I don't know about any albino aliens.
I haven't seen any yet, so I don't think this is an actual thing.
Yeah, and they've got a bunch of other toys as well. Like, you can get a big old alien queen.
I might buy some. Might buy some.
And a lot of them are like based on some of the other games, and like I think the Alien arcade game. But yeah, that's
pretty weird how this franchise grow out of the image of a giant little monster squirming out of one stomach and a giant queen eating off of. Pretty weirdly.
Yeah, it's been an interesting franchise to go, considering that they had these toys ready to go in the 80s. And along with like a children's cartoon around this franchise.
Who would watch a children's cartoon about aliens?
I mean, then again, back then you had Mortal Kombat. All the like every fighting game had a TV show.
Friendly. Look, Mortal Kombat can be family friendly, but Aliens just isn't.
Oh, that's right. You know, they don't have to have fatalities. They can just friendship.
No, they can punch each other unconscious. There's a rule they can do it. They can just beat each other until one goes unconscious. That's okay. Just don't show blood. That's the rule.
We'll pull that off. Yeah, apparently Mike would have. Mike was saying he had some of them in the 90s. So that to kind of pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, you look like a weird kid. Yeah, Mike might have been a weird kid.
Yeah, he might have been. Of course, he watches us, so he's can't
Yeah,
that guy's all right.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
So the Gundam Hathaway show or movie is the first of a trilogy, if I understand right. And the idea is it's supposed to take place in the year like 109 on the Universal Century timeline. So we're talking about 30 years in the future from now. And it deals with the son of Bright, which is kind of an interesting thing, but I think to really be able to get to understand much out of it.
Wait, the son of Bright, is it Amoro's kid?
No, Bright as in the backhand of justice.
Okay, I can see that.
Wait. Sorry, just real quick. Wait down. He's taking a little vacation, I believe, this week and next. So we'll be flying in a duo instead of a trio.
He ate too many pies, and he kind of passed over. Hey, wait down! Don't think I forgot about our stream tomorrow. I think I'm gonna be ready for it. Around the same time with this starts. So just call me up, dude.
So what will you guys be streaming about?
We're going to be talking about a project we're working on. Something fun.
Okay. As for myself, I think either later today or possibly tomorrow.
Hey, who knows? You can probably join up in the future. This is a Batman kind of deal. I think you could play a good either Riddler or Penguin.
Meh.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, you'll have to tell me a little bit more of that behind the scenes, but that way we're not going to give away too much today. Well, that was bad. Yeah, as for myself, I might be doing a little bit of a Smash Bros stream. I think either a little later tonight or tomorrow. I've got some time free, and might as well. I've got some software I want to test out.
Time free on these days, and that's the best part.
Oh yeah. I also have. I've also been working with the guys from Pop Culture Archivist and have joined them. So I'll be with those guys regularly on their streams.
Nice.
Yep. So you'll find me on Thursdays. I can be found over with Clobbering Times, who I have linked in the chat. Fridays, I might go hop over with the Nerd Father for a little bit, and then possibly hop on to some stream somewhere. Not exactly sure, but I'll be linking stuff in the social medias. And Sunday would be Pop Culture Archivist. Just to come back around to this. But that's my week.
Forget the Gundam stuff. The Gundam stuff. We'll always do this.
And at some point in the week, I'd like to watch Gundam.
Even if the world stops spinning.
Yep. I'll still be thinking about big robots. Yep. Which
I've been robots, so dude's got to keep them moving.
Yep. I've been busy. I've been making things while we were off last week. Like I made a new wallpaper, new background. Sometimes a little something kind of comes by and keep people watching. I like it. It took me a bit of learning, but it's been fun. I'd say we're at about the hour mark.
What did you need to learn to do that?
Oh, it's just a lot of it's just learning some basic video editing stuff. I can show you a little bit of stuff behind the scenes when we're not on, but yeah, that could be something to do. I'll show you what I do with that. Yeah, so I think we'll probably be go ahead and wrapping this up. What do you think? Sound good?
Yep.